I know I said earlier it's your choice, but please do yourself a favor. Go watch an episode or few, feel good, and just look at the world with a little bit more sparkle in your eyes today. And now I gotta watch Afterstory. I don't think I'm ready for this.
And I wasn't. I mean, how can you be? Okay, writing this review was a real challenge for me because Clannad Afterstory is the continuing and concluding second season of my favorite anime show ever. This was my first try. A 15-page script that I was really proud of, but after trying to film it 3 times, eventually I just threw it out as useless. My little brother can testify on that.
It's true!
I mean, this right here, this season is the reason why Clannad means so much to me, why I will never be able to express its true beauty and power in words, and why my life was changed forever. This is my review of Clannad Afterstory. The formula of the plot really hasn't changed, being that it's not the focus. In the first season, they were at least trying to get the theater club together, and most of their interactions with other characters were based around that. Well, in Afterstory, there's not even that much. Instead, the show takes on a lifelike pattern, where they sort of have something they're working towards, they achieve it, or fail to achieve it, and move on to working towards another goal. And lifelike would be a very appropriate thing to say here, because as the story progresses, it does get creepy serious, asking big questions like, what happens after you finish school? How much do you stay in contact with your old friends? What does it really mean to be a valuable member of the society? Even though I keep saying that the story is not that important, of course I can still spoil something, especially because this is the second season. So I'll try to keep the plot summary short. All that you need to know, and this is a line from the show, there's nothing that doesn't change with the flow of time. But I do want to add that Nagisa's father, Akio, gets a lot more face time here, and slowly evolves from a secondary character to another main character. He is present in many of the bigger twists and becomes a great source of help and advice for our lead Tomoya, as the story slowly turns into a deep and personal one character's life story, showing all his ambitions, struggles, and eventually his path to redemption. You can see that I skipped over the visuals. That's because this is very much the same show. It still looks beautiful and it's still moe. Moving on. Music wise, I also shouldn't have much to add because Clannad and Clannad Afterstory share the same soundtrack. But what I can talk about here are the opening and ending songs. The opening is great. It's really awesome how I can say that my favorite anime show also has one of my all-time favorite openings. It's called Toki wo Kizamu Uta. The gentle, uplifting song combined with the imagery gives a very inviting and nostalgic feeling. It works perfectly for putting you in the right mood, and for the length that the show takes, there seriously couldn't have been a better opening. The ending, on the other hand, maybe as a song on its own it's not that bad, but as a send-off to some of the more emotional episodes, Clannad brought me a long-lasting depression. Say what? I regret watching it. This is a side of Clannad I really didn't want to talk about, but it must be mentioned. Clannad Afterstory is sad. Sad to an unbearable degree. Here I would like to say that this show is simply not for the weak, but in all honesty, I doubt if anyone's strong enough to withstand Clannad without crying at least a bucket of tears. I know I wasn't. The story and its sad twist grabbed incredibly strong on my heartstrings and multiple times even broke them. I remember grabbing on my chest like on an open wound, trying to relieve some pain. I couldn't breathe, I was crying so hard. And yes, after the show ended, I also was followed by this unpleasant sense of depression for quite a while, and although not much can be said in Clannad's defense, I will say this. This depression wasn't that life has no meaning kind of feelings. It's more like I took a step backwards and then took a good look at my life, from which I realized I would like to see some changes here. This shouldn't really change the way you feel, but you must understand how something that makes you take that step back is always a good thing. Since as we're in the comment section, here's another one. The characters look like hamsters in this anime! Made my day. So yeah, Clannad is sad, and I like that, but that's not why it's so special to me. One of the main themes throughout both seasons is family. Be it your actual relatives, a group of friends that understand you, or just that one close person who can listen to you and cheer you up after a hard day. The basic message is that everybody deserves happiness and someone to share that happiness with. And you know how you call that? Hope. The universe of Clannad is just filled with it. It's really hard to look at Tomoya in his lowest, but even during these dark times, if you have faith and you stick with the show, there is always a reward waiting around the corner. During the last few episodes, I honestly was praying for a miracle that would turn everything alright for these characters. Well, thankfully, the creators of Clannad knew I was gonna do that, and they take a huge advantage of it. God bless them. But of course the show is not as perfect as I'm shaping it up to be. It has its flaws and a few, but I'm not gonna talk about them. And I'm not even gonna use any pictures here to give you some hints. This is something no one who wants to call himself a reviewer should do, but I just think that when you enjoyed the end package so much, complaining about any aspect of it is just stupid. I was whining about the ending song earlier. But as stupid as I may be, I still know what I feel. I love Clannad and I love these characters. Making this review was a great reason for me to revisit these series, so for anyone who's watching right now, thank you. Still, I completely understand that the show is not for everyone. Many just can't get used to the cuteness of it. But well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. For me, this was a life changer, and a big one. So I strongly believe that everyone should see it at least once. It's one of the most beautiful stories ever told, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. For that, Clannad well deserved the spot as my #1 favorite anime show of all time. Here in the end, I think no one can sum this show up better than Nagisa herself.
何かとってもあったかくて懐かしくて切なくて
行こうか、渚。
はい岡崎さん
Here after the end, I'll just add that you shouldn't be confused by me making 2 reviews and saying that the real heart of this anime lies in its sequel. The first season is still very good, but it just pales in comparison to its infinitely superior follow-up. But honestly, this show should be looked at as a whole. If it wasn't divided in 2, I would never feel a need to do that, though the change in the mood could come as a bit of a surprise without a distinct pause, and I do understand that the whole after-story part represents the continuation of a story that has reached its happy ending. What I'm trying to say is that there's no way you could just skip over Clannad and go straight to Afterstory. They can't be separated in that kind of way. To review Clannad, I rewatched the first season, but to review Afterstory, I rewatched both of them again. So when I say, watch Clannad! I mean watch both seasons, and I do mean watch it. Peace, love music.